Good evening and welcome to Chatbox with Sam. Tonight's guest is actor and writer Luke Albright. Welcome, Luke. How are you?
I'm great. Really good to see you. Thanks for having me.
Oh, it's a pleasure. No, it's an honour to have you on the show. So thank you very much for attending and appearing on here.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you. I have a few questions to ask you and then we can talk about your life in the industry and
Okay.
past and upcoming productions or events that you're going to be in. If you were to encourage the younger generation, what would be the main focus?
I think probably trust yourself, trust your instincts. That's something, it's very important, whatever field you go into, to get training and to have mentors and to learn from people that have done it. But I think one thing that you can lose sight of, whether it be acting, writing, anything out here, is you have instincts for a reason. Yeah, it's very easy to outthink yourself and think, well, this person's doing this, or this person wants this, and maybe I should try to be this to get this role or to get this project going. But at the end of the day, there's an old adage, especially for writers, write what you would want to see. And I would just trust your own voice, trust your own instincts, always.
Oh, that's awesome. Do you have any words of encouragement for the younger generation that want to venture into the industry?
Absolutely. I think now is probably the best time that there's ever been to get into the industry, just because, you have basically a little film studio in your hand if you have an iPhone. I think what I should have done different, if I could have, had someone mentor me, was always just start shooting your own stuff. Like I said, be who you are, come up with something clever and unique about yourself, whether it be as a writer, as an actor, get your friends together, always be shooting. And, the first things you make may not be amazing, but it doesn't matter. You're getting experience, you're teaching yourself how to film, and you're building relationships. And I think right now, especially with the advent of the internet and influencers, you can really turn out really good material all on your own with very minimal budget. So just keep shooting.
And never give up.
Exactly.
That's awesome. Thank you for answering that. What inspired you into this industry or this career? What was the initial thought?
It was a circuitous route. I grew up on a cattle ranch actually in Colorado, and grew up in a family that was very supportive, but it was that this wasn't a real thing. I didn't know anyone who was a writer or an artist or a singer or an actor. That was just, I always loved movies, but I didn't ever think that was something you could really do. I grew up like writing and putting on little plays for my parents, but that quickly gave way to sports and education, and that was my main focus for a lot of years. And you kind of forget about the other stuff. And then I had a job right out of school. I was a lender for a high-tech bank, and no offense to anyone who does that, but I was just in the wrong situation. I didn't like what I was doing. I felt like a piece of my life was missing. So on a lark, I quit my job and took an acting class. I'd always been kind of wondering, like, well, I wonder, I crack some jokes. People seem to think I'm kind of funny. Maybe I could do pretty well. And I loved it right away. I was like, this is what I've been missing. And that almost immediately led to short films and commercials. And then I got back into writing and creating my own things. And I very quickly decided I need to move out in LA, because I was in Austin, Texas at the time.
Yes.
And really great place to learn and to grow and to get started. And then moved out to LA and just kept at it.
That's awesome. If you'd like to tell the audience, what was the first film or pilot that you were in?
I always like to say, we always joke with actors, like, what was your first job? And my first job I remember was, it was a Miller Lite campaign, and it was just a billboard. And we were so excited that we were getting paid to do anything. Mm-hmm. And we did this whole big shoot this weekend, and we're like, oh, there's going to be billboards of us everywhere. And there were, but it was funny because it was just of our boots. So we had been so excited that everyone was going to see us, and then it was just our feet. So that's actually a really good lesson to just enjoy the process and enjoy what you're doing, because you never know how it's going to turn out. Started out in short films. The first movie I did, I think I had a small role in a Rennie Harlan film called 12 Rounds with John Cena down in New Orleans, and had an absolute blast on that, and got to know a lot of people, learned a lot about the business. Actually worked as Rennie's driver after I got done shooting my very small role, and just made a lot of relationships that have carried on through today. So that was a lot of fun. John Cena, just a super, super, super nice guy.
Oh, and I know you was in Purgatory Road with Gary Carr.
Yes.
And Monumental with Gary and Anna Marie.
Anna Marie Demara. Mm-hmm.
Demara, yes. So, yeah, very good films. I have watched Purgatory Road. I'm yet to watch Monumental, but I will be watching it. So
yeah, it's so funny because it's so funny they call Gary and I the RV boys because, you know, RVs figure very big in both of those movies, as you've seen in Purgatory Road, for a very different reason than in Monumental. But I think that's a testament to Gary as an actor. You saw how brilliant he was in Purgatory Road. If you watch him in Monumental, it's just a completely different character, just night and day. And he's just one of those guys that whenever he calls, I pick up the phone. Especially if we're going to go work together, we make each other giggle the entire time. And just, I know for a fact he's going to be ready to shoot and is going to be immaculately prepared. So just a true professional on set. It's really, really nice to work with him.
Yes, and social media is great for finding out what your other cast members are doing, you know, and who you're going to be working with. I think that's a very good.
And Gary's the best. Gary's the best at it. He's the master networker, and he and I laugh about it. I'm absolutely awful at it. It's not really my thing, but I respect how well he networks and the amazing job he does at it. And, you know, that's how I got to meet you. So it's always really nice.
It is. I met you on Twitter, and Gary actually did mention you in his interview.
I watched it. It was a really good interview.
Yes.
Not just for that reason, the whole thing.
How has music influenced your life?
That's another strange one that, you know, I kind of, you always look back and say, oh, I wish maybe this had been different. Maybe if I knew acting and writing was a possibility, maybe I get into it earlier, but, you know, we can't go back and it is the way it is. I got into music very late in life. Neither of my parents really listened to a lot of music, occasionally maybe some Willie Nelson here or there, or some ABBA, strangely enough. But the first time I really got into music, I was at a friend's party. I was a sophomore in high school, and he had this is how old I am, a VHS tape of a U2 concert, Under the Blood Red Sky, at Red Rocks. Oh. And he had it on, and we were partying, and I just kind of was mesmerized, and I just let everybody else go do the thing and sat there just in a trance. I was like, who are these guys? What is this? And just became obsessed from U2. I'm still a lifelong fan. They're still probably my favorite band of all time, but that was the intro to music for me, and just kind of listening to them saying, oh, other people are having the feelings I have and have the ideals that I have. And I feel passionate about it. So it awakened something in me. I'm not sure what, but I do love writing to music. So whatever script or whatever I'm working on, I do kind of choose a piece that fits that tone. And it's just on repeat for me. It just gets me in the mood and kind of clears my mind out so I can focus.
Music does hold memories, you know, and
yes.
So to everyone, and it can change the mood of a room.
Oh, absolutely.
And you two's Irish, and I'm Irish, and I've got a big Irish family in England, so I love you two too. So,
yeah, all right, we can be friends.
Bono is awesome.
I love him so much.
Very short guy, very short.
Is he? I didn't know that.
His wife's taller than him.
That's funny. Mr. Houston. He's on the shorter side. Got a lot of respect for him.
Yes, but very, very talented. Yeah, I grew up listening to you too. So
that's amazing.
Fantastic.
Sort of a side note, his daughter was supposed to be one of the leads in the film that I did in Russia, and for some reason it didn't work out. But once I found that out after we filmed, and I was like, oh, no, I could have met Bono.
Yes, you would have.
Yeah, would have been amazing.
Great family men. The Irish are, so.
Absolutely.
But, you know, sometimes it was just not the right time. And maybe this will happen. It's just on another time.
I have a feeling I'm going to use their music in something, so I think I will get to meet him.
That'd be perfect. Do you play any instruments?
Oh, gosh, I wish. I played piano when I was growing up, and just here's another thing for all the kids and everyone growing up. Like, please realize how important your coaches and your teachers and your instructors are. Like, if you find a good one, just let them teach you everything they can. I had a piano teacher that I absolutely loved when I was a little kid, and she moved, and then I hated my next piano teacher, so I quit playing. Like, I disliked my teacher that much. So I wish I'd kept at it, but I did play piano at one point.
That's a shame.
Yeah, it's a bummer. You know, good coaches and good teachers, they're really, really important. I wish we took better care of them.
Yeah, but it's the same when you're working with someone, you know, like in a film they have like a chemistry thing, like a test to see if you match, because if you don't, the chemistry is going to be off, you know. And
it's brutal sometimes. Yeah. It can make it very difficult.
What hobbies do you have that really make you feel inspired inside or good inside?
Yeah, we already touched on one of them. I love music. So sometimes if I have a bit of free time and I've finished my reading or whatever I need to get done, I'll just lay and listen to an album. I'll just go to the park and have my headphones on and just listen to it 3 or 4 times. I love being outside. I love hiking, swimming, any kind of sports like that. Playing. I have a sweet little poodle mix, and he goes with us everywhere. So I love doing stuff with him, and just anything outside, really. You know, of course, writing and reading are big hobbies of mine. I love the movies. Love going to see films, and yeah, they're pretty basic. I don't have anything crazy. I'm not like a kite surfer or anything.
You don't go mountain climbing.
I do actually. I do. Yeah, we used to go on expeditions every summer when I was a kid. Like, I love being up in the mountains. Growing up in Colorado, I used to rock climb all the time.
Isn't that funny that I just brought that up? I think it's the Irish.
There you go. You knew what it was.
Well, out of all the charities you could choose from, which one would you choose to advocate for, and why?
Children's Hospital. I think that's an easy one for me. I've talked to my wife a lot about that as we move forward and get in better positions. There's nothing sadder to me than sick children. It's just, you know, completely undeserving for any of them to suffer at all. So anything I can do there would mean a lot to me.
Like St. Jude's.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and there's Loma Linda Children's Hospital that do heart transplants too. They're very good, you know.
Yep, absolutely.
That's great. I'm glad you chose children. Children and animals.
Same, and that's we would have them both covered. My wife wants to start a sanctuary, so you know we double prong that problem right there. Yeah, she's obsessed with animals.
Tell Agnes she's a good soul.
I will tell her she's a good soul. She definitely is.
Yes. How do you feel about what has transpired since COVID-19?
Yeah. It's been rough. I think these last few years, even before COVID in the US, it's really been polarizing. And that bums me out because it feels like we're more divided in this country than we ever have been. And it's really tough. It feels like you can't have conversations about anything anymore. You have to stick with your own camp. Like, if you believe this and other people don't, well, then they're wrong. And there's no middle ground to come to. It's really bummed me out. With everything that's gone on, and then COVID being a part of that. But I think the good part about it is it's kind of revealed who everyone is. And so it's easier to make choices on who you spend your time with and who you dedicate like your love and your time to. It's just one of those things. We're going to get through it. I believe that wholeheartedly, but it's been rough. I know it's been rough on everybody mentally. I think it's going to leave a lasting impact on a lot of us, even those who didn't lose anyone. I think it's been really tough on everybody, but I trust science. I'll say that. I'm a big believer in science, so I always err on that side. But it's led to some really hard discussions with loved ones and friends, and you know, it's never easy. But I don't know. If you follow history, this is not the first time this has happened, and unfortunately, it probably will not be. Exactly. Yeah.
Well, it's a shame there's been a divide because we're supposed to unite and hold, you know, there's nothing stronger than a nation that's in unity. And
correct.
When you divide, it's weak. And the whole point of my show is showing how we're similar yet uniquely different.
Yes.
And allowing each other to feel what they do, whether it's fear or, you know, and it's a shame that media and politics got involved with this instead of just leaving it to the health and the science. And if someone's afraid and they don't have your decision, they don't follow your thought pattern on the pandemic or the COVID or whatever, then there's still no excuse to be rude to each other.
Right.
Still be kind and treat each other like human beings. Okay, I agree to disagree, but I still love you anyway.
Correct. And it's the loss of dialogue, kind of what we've already spoken about a little bit. It's just, it doesn't seem like we're allowed to talk to each other and allowed to disagree. And that's kind of what this nation and any successful republic is built on, is free speech and not hate speech. You know what I mean? Just, I'm going to express an opinion. You express your opinion. If we don't agree, we'll move on to talk about something else, but we're going to keep working at it until we figure something out. And it just feels like it's become a world of absolutes, and it's a little frightening.
I know, it's a shame.
Yeah.
But hopefully, in time it will obviously be in the history books again, as was the swine flu and
Yep.
In 1918. So
The Spanish flu, yeah.
Spanish flu, sorry. I always get them mixed up. The swine flu come out.
Very similar.
Yes, they are very similar. Viruses mutate to different things. That's what
Yep.
happens. So there will be another one, I'm sure.
Of course.
Luckily, we've got better science now than they did way back then. Well, thank you for being honest with that, and I appreciate
Of course.
it. I think that was an amazing analogy of the way you put everything, because you focused on the importance, and that was a fantastic answer. Thank you, Luke.
Yeah. Cheers. You're welcome.
Is there anything that no one has asked you in an interview that you would have liked them to ask you?
That's a really good question. Well, that question to start with. But let me think of something specific. Okay, so I've already touched on this, but I think it would be nice, and maybe I'll tell you what it is, and then maybe you can ask me. Who do you believe is a very undervalued part of society? What position? What job do you think is a very undervalued part of society?
Okay, please answer that question, Mr.
Yeah,
Albright.
Teachers. We already talked about it. They're so important because the teachers that I loved have really shaped who I am, and the teachers that didn't have that right setting or that right way to deal with kids, or you can really shut down a kid. Like if you handle them improperly, especially as a coach or a teacher, it's such a valuable position. Like I said, I wish we took better care of those people. I wish we paid them better. I wish we had better training for them, because if we're trying to fix all these problems like we're talking about now, if you don't have a proper education and you don't get engaged in your education, we're never going to figure anything out. So let's treat teachers better. Let's pay them better. I don't know why I keep coming back to that.
No, but it's true though. I mean, the doctors, nurses, the firefighters, the police, they don't get paid what they should. Public servants, and they do the most for the people in the country.
Very selfless most of the time.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. That's a fantastic answer.
Well, do you have a teacher that you remember that you really liked?
Oh, a few of them, yeah.
Good.
I remember, and they were really kind to me.
Yes.
Too. There was one that was the headmistress, but she wasn't there for very long, and she accused me of something, and when I know I'm in the right, stubborn Irish went back down. She said, because they were smoking in the toilet. They call them toilets in England.
Yeah.
They're very small cubicles. And she said, "You've been smoking." I went, "No, I haven't." And she goes, "Yes, you have." I said, "No, I haven't." So she went, "You have. I can smell it." So I went up and I went, oh, she whacked me around the head.
Yeah, that's not very nice.
I know. But they did that in them days. The girls got the slipper and the boys got the cane.
Yeah. No, we had to paddle when we were younger.
Did you?
Yeah.
No, we did not. And then there was Mrs. Booth, and she was really nice. Mrs. Wilkes, she was nice.
I love the nice ones.
Yeah, they were. And it's funny because they say to you, if you knew then what you know now, God, how life would be so different. But we all have our experiences in life, and our past doesn't define us, but it does build a foundation for who we are now. And we can change the future. We can't change the past. We can't live
and those experiences exactly impressed upon us how important those things are, so we can talk about it. We can send messages like this out, because those things did happen to us. If we just had the best teachers all the time, maybe we wouldn't appreciate how good they were.
No. Sometimes it's like, looking back, what could I have done differently? But when you're a 15-year-old girl being accused of something, it's like, no, I'm going to show you. And she showed me instead.
Oops. Yeah. Well, that backfired.
She didn't really hurt me. She just went,
Correct.
So, and that was because I was kind of disrespectful. And looking back, I was, So
Yeah, you were just upset because you knew what the truth was.
Yeah, but generally, I think they are one of the best days of your life. Still.
Correct. They say youth is wasted on the young. I love that quote.
Youth, sorry, say that again.
Youth is wasted on the young.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, but they're so beautiful.
Children. Oh, it's amazing. Amazing time.
Because they're learning and there's no boundaries with them, really.
Yep.
They say what they feel. They say what they think, and they love unconditionally.
That's the beautiful thing.
Unruined,
Yeah, we all unfortunately get taught otherwise as we get older. So it's really nice to see exactly like you say, where there's no prejudice.
Do you have any upcoming projects that you'd like to talk about?
Yeah, I do. Actually, a buddy of mine that I wrote with for years, they just filmed one of our romantic comedies up in Toronto, and that was with Sarah Hyland and Dylan Sprouse. Really fun young cast. It's called My Fake Boyfriend, and Lionsgate will be releasing it next year sometime. Should be a really, really fun movie.
I've seen that, and it was a fake boyfriend, an online fake boyfriend. And then he meets the real love, and then he's got to get rid of this fake one.
He's caught in a lie, and he has to try to get out, and of course everything goes wrong. So it's a ton of fun.
Could you imagine doing that, though?
Well, it's funny. Yeah, we can. That's how we came up with the idea. My buddy and I were hiking Runyon one day, and both had gotten out of kind of rough relationships, and we were just trying to make each other laugh. And I was like, man, if I could keep my ex away, maybe we could create me a fake girlfriend, and that would keep her away. And we're like, that's kind of funny. And then it just spun from there, and it turned into a movie, and now they filmed it. So it's crazy what ends up sticking.
It just shows you how sometimes it shows us lack of in relationships. It could show a lack of communication, or a lack of respect of somebody else's boundaries.
Of course, absolutely.
Yeah. And that's why he did this because of somebody else's boundaries that weren't his boundaries weren't being respected. And,
exactly.
And that's what it's a good lesson of. These are the boundaries.
Yeah,
and
I mean, he can't.
Measures.
He probably can't blame anybody else, but he did get pushed into it. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So you're right. If the other person had just left him alone, this would never happen. But then the amazing movie wouldn't be there. So, that's movies all the time. You're like, wait, but if you didn't, I'm like, then the movie wouldn't have. It's a sci-fi show that I created with one of my best friends, Daniel Thron, who's an incredibly talented visual effects artist and director. Just kind of a genius level guy. Guy blows my mind all the time. We wrote a sci-fi show. We wrote a pilot, and we just filmed the first episode of that. So I'm really, really, really excited about that. Gary's in that as well, and a really, really creepy, fun character. So I'm excited for you to see that. We'll be releasing that next year. Really incredible show that sprouted out of Dan's mind. It's fantastic. So I'm excited for that. I just optioned something called Armada, which is kind of like a female Indiana Jones, a big globe-trotting action film that I'm really excited about.
Oh, that sounds good. Yes, I'd like to see that.
You'll dig that one. It's a ton of fun.
Oh, awesome. I know there's a lot that goes into it. I mean, you film the pilots and then you have to get them funded and produced and stuff. So
it takes a while.
It does. Yeah. I don't think people realise how much hard work goes into in the industry. There's so much hard work because I'm working with people in it and speaking to people.
Exactly.
And it's not easy. It's very, very difficult. And I give you huge respect to all of you that keep going on and
Thank
don't
you.
give up. And so
I appreciate that.
Huge respect to you because it's a lot of hard work. You all got hit really bad in the industry during COVID. People weren't working, and some people have a misconception of actors, they're all rich and they're all good and they don't suffer. Well, it's the people I've spoken to, it's completely the opposite.
Yeah.
You had to learn how to edit. You had to learn how to do the self-tapes. It's a lot of work that goes into an audition. And someone told me they did 120 self-tapes and got 3 parts.
It's absolutely insane. My wife joined one of our union, our actors union, SAG. She joined one of the conversations they had a couple months ago, where everyone was discussing, how this had affected the industry and all the free work actors have to do to even be available for a job. Where it's the getting the audition, learning your lines, getting the camera set up now and the lights, and then editing and sending in. And it was really heartbreaking because there was a guy that came on that's on the other side of it who was saying, like, we'll get thousands of tapes for an audition and we'll watch probably 20. So all those other people have done all that work for absolutely nothing. So we're hoping to affect some change in that part of it, because that's absolutely insane. They need to narrow their focus from the beginning, so you don't have, hundreds of people doing tapes that are never seen. That's not fair.
No, because there's a lot of work that goes into it.
Yep.
have you got anything else you'd like to share?
Those are the big ones. I'm excited for Gary. I know he's got some really cool projects coming up. But yeah, those are the big ones I already mentioned for us. I'm always writing new stuff. I'm always shooting stuff. So I'll let you know as things come up.
Do you write any thrillers?
Actually, I did. I wrote. This is kind of an interesting story. I wrote my first thriller, to go shoot in Colorado when the pandemic happened, because I have family there and everything was shut down. So my wife and I were like, let's go shoot this thing. It's a really cool concept. I won't get into it here, but we are going to end up shooting that. So when I start piecing that out, I'll let you know. I think you'd really like it. It's pretty intense, because I'm obsessed with the show The Last Kingdom, and I want to play a Viking.
Do you?
Oh my God, that'd be my dream role.
You'd have to write one.
Yeah, I think I'm going to.
In England, they had the Danes and the Celts and the Saxons and the Vikings.
If you get a chance, it's one of the best shows I've seen in a while.
Really?
The wife and I both love it. Yeah.
See, I like I'm kind of I love sci-fi too. I do love
Me too.
history. I love the History Channel and I'm watching stuff on there. But I like vampires, werewolves, witches, and
fantastic
sci-fi, and I love all that stuff.
Did you like Penny Dreadful? Did you watch that?
I have not seen that.
You'd be a big fan of that.
Do you think so?
Yeah, just from what you just said about like the witches and the monsters and all that stuff. It's really cool, especially the first season.
Yeah, I watched all the Vampire Diaries and then the Legacies and stuff. I just
nice.
I love stuff, and I love a good documentary too.
Me too. There's some really good ones out there too.
There is.
What's the best one that you've watched that you can remember recently?
I can't remember the name. Vic's, I'm awful with names, Luke.
Okay.
But you can see it on Netflix, and they go in there and it's showing how people are lining up. They're starving because of socialism to the extreme, because we have socialist medicine in England.
Right.
And if it's not to the extreme, but the rich are rich and there's no middle class, and the poor are really poor, lining up for a loaf of bread, and they're on rations with their food, complete rations. It just broke my heart, and they had to leave halfway through the documentary. They couldn't film everything they wanted to, because they were already put in jail.
The government was coming after them.
Because they don't want it exposed.
Of course not. Oh, that's awful.
What was going on?
I'll have to check that out.
It's things like that, and then I love watching. This interview isn't about me.
I gotcha.
About you.
I gotcha.
So, what documentaries do you like?
We love all the food documentaries they have on Netflix. That's just really relaxing. The travel documentaries. There was one called Icarus on Netflix, which it starts out, you think it's going to be one thing, and then it goes into like the doping scandal of the Olympics and stuff. That was absolutely fascinating. And then actually I had it was kind of a tough experience when we were in Poland. We went to the World War II Museum in Gdansk up north by the Baltic Sea, and we spent about 7 hours in there and watched a lot of films and saw a bunch of artifacts. But that was something, it's tough when you're there where a lot of that stuff happened. So I was always, as a kid, obsessed with World War II documentaries, and I don't know why. So any of the Civil War documentaries, all that sort of history, like history, like anything Egyptian, I'll watch.
Oh, that's one place. That's on my bucket list. I want
Me
to
too.
see them pyramids, but there's so much trouble and turmoil there that it'd be very dangerous to go to some parts, you know. But
Yeah.
my brother's actually an archaeologist.
Oh, that's what I wanted to be.
Yeah.
You know, that was a good question. Maybe somebody will say that one day. Is like, what would you have been if you hadn't been in this industry? Would have been an archaeologist for sure.
Well, I'm leaving that in.
Yeah. What's that?
You asked a question. I'm leaving that bit in.
Yeah. Okay. Good. That is a good one. You choose whatever you want to choose. But yeah, I
think
don't
we should
know.
leave that in. That's great because my brother's an archaeologist and a biologist, but he hasn't been to Egypt yet. But he's been.
Where's he worked?
He's in Washington.
Okay. Wow. And did he do that from a very early age? Did he always know that's what he wanted to do?
Well, he got 2 doctorates first. He was in school for like 8 years.
Okay.
So, no, he wanted to be a biologist at first.
Mm-hmm.
And then he got the doctorate for that, and then he went to archaeology.
Oh, it's fantastic.
And there's a lot of excavations that they actually... I think they've been to Mexico, but there's lots of excavations they do in America, finding things.
Yeah, out in the Southwest and stuff like that. There's a lot of cool stuff. Ah, I'm jealous.
I know, it's amazing. I said, please, if you go to Egypt, if you need someone to hold your shovel.
There you go. Your game. You already put in your request. Yeah, right?
He's lovely. Yeah, my brother is very, very super intelligent. I said, you got all the brains.
That's funny.
Intelligent, but he's super duper intelligent, you know.
That's really cool. Well, let me put in my request too. If you guys go, I'll make a documentary about it. So just let me know.
Okay, yes, if he does.
Fantastic.
Well, Luke Albright, it was an honor and a pleasure to meet you, and it was lovely talking to you. You're an amazing gentleman, and the world's a better place because you're in it.
Oh my gosh, that's really sweet. Thank you so much.
Truly mean that.
Thank you. I had an absolute blast. It makes me feel very special that you had me on. So you're very lovely. Thank you for having me.
More for human beings.
Yes.
Yes. So you have a lovely evening with your wife, and it was lovely meeting you.
Okay.
And
hopefully we'll see you soon. Yes, absolutely.
It's meant to be.
Watch the stars. We'll see you soon.
Yes. Ryan's belt.
Exactly.
Okay. Take care, Luke. Speak to you soon.
Bye.
Good night.